Good afternoon, everybody. It's Dave Neal here with your afternoon rush on this Thursday, January 16th, 2025. Here are the stories we'll be getting into today, and there are some bombshell ones, two big bombshell stories. The first is that we've got Bachelor Matt James and Rachel Kirkconnell announcing their breakup. Well, he did. She's been silent. But now, with the post being out in the blue and very bizarre, people are wondering, was his account hacked or was this a prank? There might be more to the story than we know, so I'll share that. But first, it doesn't get any bigger than this. Justin Baldoni has unleashed hell upon Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively with a, hold on folks, $400 million lawsuit. The allegations are wild. Is there any truth to the claims? I'm going to break down what their lawyer is saying in what is shaking out to be the biggest entertainment news story of the year. And I can tell you this right now, we are going to be going all in on the coverage of this story. It's fascinating. Taylor Swift is somehow involved. There'll be other celebrities and backdoor dealings. It's gonna get ugly, but both sides have nearly $1 billion in their war chest to fight this, and it's gonna be a wild, wild year. Plus, also, we're gonna end this episode with a wild tennis star, a news story, somebody I've never heard from, emerged in the most unhinged way to an audience of boos, gives a crazy interview. I'm going to share that story. I don't know if I love it or hate it, but the most interesting characters out there are those that we don't know if we love or hate, right? So I've got all those stories and more. It's all coming up right now on The Rush. Well, our first story of the day, and we're going to get to the Blake Lively stuff right after this, I promise you that, but the first story is Bachelor Matt James announcing a breakup from Rachel Kirkconnell. Every news station has picked up on this. When I woke up here in Central Time Zone, the announcement was made like 4 or 5 hours earlier, which was bizarre because they live on the East Coast, but as it turns out, they were in London. What's really weird about the story is they were still posting content leading up to the breakup. They were at a pizza place. He was liking people's comments about them getting engaged. So folks are wondering, are they really broken up? Why haven't we heard from Rachel Kirkconnell? And is there more to the story? It could be wishful thinking. The comment section on the subreddit, The Bachelor, is going insane with 1,500 people commenting and discussing this right now. But it could be that, first of all, what he said was, Father God, give Rachel and I strength to mend our broken hearts. Give us a peace about this decision to end our relationship that transcends worldly understanding. Shower our friends and family with kindness and love to comfort us and remind us that our joy comes from you, Lord. Very, very bizarre that, you know, when there's a public breakup with couples, usually what you see is a joint statement. They'll tag each other. They'll release it as one. Well, why do they do that? Well, because when one person releases a statement, if it's not factually accurate or doesn't have the empathy the other person would want, then they feel the need to respond. And when you're in a relationship that's not working out and you break up, chances are there's a lot of tension and you're going to want to get control back in your life. Why we haven't heard from Rachel is beyond me. I've flown through the theories. Either A, they broke up, she's heartbroken and doesn't want to post about it, or B, both their phones were stolen in England, which could definitely have happened, and they don't have any control of their social medias. But if that were the case, don't you think someone would have gotten back to me that's friends of them? You know, there's plenty of people in high-powered situations here that could reach out and say, oh yeah, no, their phones were hacked, they're still together. The other idea is that it was a plot, like a prank, where he's saying, we broke up, actually, we're engaged. I don't see that being the case. If he said something like, well, we are no longer dating each other, I could say, well, that's because you're now getting married. I don't know. But it looks like they're broken up unless his account was hacked. I don't have any more information at this time. If more information comes available, we'll let you know. Over time, we'll get down to the truth. But right now, I'm saying 80 to 90% chance they actually broke up. It's just a weird breakup, but there's still a little bit of a shot that maybe there's something funny going on right here. All right, let's get into the bombshell story of the day, maybe the year, at least entertainment news speaking. Justin Baldoni sues Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds for $400 million, alleges they sought to destroy him. Now, we've received a copy of this lawsuit. It is massive. 179 pages. It involves juicy text messages, some of which we've seen already with his lawsuit to the New York Times. So here's what I'm going to do for you guys. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to do a live stream where we go over all of this. Clear your schedule. This is going to take a lot of time. But here it is. Civil action. Wayfarer Studios, which is Justin Baldoni and the people that work with him, and the publicists that were, getting trashed throughout this, against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, who is their PR, and a New York corporation. I don't know who that is, but they already are suing New York Times for $250 million, right? Or 200 million, whatever, a lot of money. And Justin Baldoni has a billionaire backer who's hiring them the biggest agent, the biggest lawyer they can find in the entertainment world. Brian Friedman, we've already covered him. Blake Lively has cash. Ryan Reynolds is a owner of Mint Mobile and whatever their vodka tequila line is. She's selling florals. I don't know what the hell's going on. They got money. They got $500 million. Easy. So they're not going down without a fight. And a lot of times when you see these strong-armed lawsuits, what you end up wanting is just some sort of quick settlement. But any sort of settlement here would admit fault. And the bigger battle against the brands, especially brands built on their personal image, is going to be fighting this to the end. That's how I see it going down. I wouldn't be surprised if there's hundreds of millions of dollars exchanged, a possible jury trial. This is going to be a story we follow that might go, and I don't know, this is the Southern District of New York. All right, we might have to go rent a place in New York and stay there for the summer if this is where the trial is going to be. Because as you guys know, we've got deep pockets here at the Rush Hour podcast. We've acquired a van. Actually, Bruce did, our good pal Bruce. But hey, maybe he'll let us borrow it. I'll pay for the parking. You get the gas. Maybe that's a bad one. Gas is expensive, but New York parking is a whole nother story. Either way, we will be here to cover it. So make sure if you're on YouTube, subscribe, or make sure you are prepared for what might be a bonkers, because it's one thing to say, oh, I'm going to come after you. When you put your money where your mouth is, and when you share what they have, which is 179 pages. Now, you might ask me, Dave, who do you think's going to win? I have no clue. Who has a case and who doesn't. Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit claims that she faked the sexual harassment claims. That's what it's the type of claim you really can't make unless you have a lot of proof. I don't imagine Brian Friedman would take this case if he didn't feel he could win it, because he's a winner. He's not one of those ambulance chasers. He is a big time lawyer. So yeah, I don't see him losing this whatsoever. I'll tell you what. I'm going to get to what he had to say because I can't get through the whole 179 pages today. Be patient. We'll do this tomorrow. I got to get my big Dunkin' Donuts extra large coffee. This is a big one, folks. So clear whatever meetings you had in the morning. You were supposed to pick your kid up from whatever. Leave them. You know what I mean? Don't do that. But either way, let them go play with Legos and whatever. And stick with me on this one. It's going to be insanity. All right, so coming up next, I'm going to get to what Brian Friedman, the attorney for Justin Baldoni, had to say about why they're filing this lawsuit. All right, here we have the statement from Brian Friedman. This lawsuit is a legal action based on an overwhelming amount of untampered evidence detailing Blake Lively and her team's duplicitous attempt to destroy Justin Baldoni, his team, and their respective companies by disseminating grossly edited, unsubstantiated, new, and doctored information to the media. Which, by the way, my question is, why sue the media if they sent the media doctored information? But again, they might have more of a case against this defamation than they would against the defamation of the New York Times. It is clear based on our own all-out willingness to provide all complete text messages, emails, video footage, and other documentary evidence that was shared between the parties in real time that this is a battle she will not win and will certainly regret. Blake Lively was either severely misled by her team or intentionally and knowingly misrepresented the truth. Miss Lively will never again be allowed to continue to exploit actual victims of real harassment solely for her personal reputation gain at the expense of those without power. Let's not forget, Miss Lively and her team attempted to bulldoze reputations and livelihoods for heinously selfish reasons through her own dangerous manipulation of the media before even taking any actual legal action. We know the truth. And now the public does too. Justin and his team have nothing to hide. Documents do not lie. Brian Friedman, attorney for Justin Baldoni. So, look, I bet you if they could wave a magic wand and go back in time, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni could have had a phone call privately and said, let's lower the rhetoric. Let's chill out. Now, you might argue in her defense, if what she says is true, that he was harassing her, he was a creep, he was all these things and all of that. If that's all true, then they've got no case, right? I don't care if she left out an emoji or something like that in a text message if it's all true that he harassed her. That's really what it comes down to. So if she can prove, that's what defamation is all about, right? If you can prove, hey, I wasn't lying, she did all this stuff, then they don't have a case. But because Brian Friedman is attached, and maybe I'm putting too much weight to his name, but because he's attached to this, it makes me feel like there is an actual case here, because I don't think he would waste the time or resources to do something like sue for defamation when, and they're also suing for extortion. But I don't think you would waste this much time unless you knew you had a really good case, because this is going to be a year's worth of work and they're going to have to hire a dozen lawyers. I mean, it's going to be pretty wild. So here's the final prayer for relief. Wherefore, plaintiffs, that's Justin, pray for the following relief: for a money judgment representing compensatory damages, including consequential damages, lost wages, earnings, and all other sums of money, together with interest on those amounts, in an amount to be proven at trial, but in no event less than $400 million. Wow. For an award of money judgment for mental pain and anguish in severe and serious emotional distress, as applicable, in an amount to be proven at trial. For pre- and post-judgment interest for punitive damages according to proof, for attorney's fees and costs incurred by plaintiffs as applicable, and for such other legal and equitable relief as the court deems appropriate, demand for jury trial. Plaintiffs demand a jury trial on all causes of action so triable. And then they signed it off right there, respectfully, January 16th, in Los Angeles and in New York. That's where they signed it. But I think this is being filed in New York, which I believe is that where he lives? Or maybe that's where the production company is. Either way, insane stuff. Absolutely wild stuff. Now, in these court documents, there are allegations that Blake tried to use her friendship with possible Taylor Swift to, sway audience mindset into who's the victor in this conversation. Very, very wild stuff. I've actually got Travis Kelce, who's dating Taylor Swift, raving over his relationship. It's a little bit of a different story, but I can tell you this right now. Clear your schedule. We're going to cover this in the morning on YouTube, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's going to be a lot, so get your coffees, get your donuts ready, mail it in on a Friday, push all your work off to somebody else, call in sick, do whatever the hell you need to do, and it's going to be juicy as hell. All right, coming up next, we've got Travis Kelce raves over Taylor Swift's relationship, says I couldn't be happier. And publicly, as much as Taylor supports her friends, she doesn't want this drama. As big as the brands are with Ryan Reynolds and Justin and Blake Lively, Taylor Swift is on top of all of that. And here's Super Bowl winner Travis Kelce describing his relationship with Tay-Tay.
Life, my brother. Travis Kelce, off the football field, you living a little bit better than most. Could you explain in general what it's like?
I'm enjoying all aspects of life. That's what sure, man. Me and Taylor are happy, and I couldn't be happier to have that, that confidence and that comfort off the field, and all the support I could ever ask for in the stadium, man.
Where would you describe your mentality to be at this particular moment in time, knowing how well everything is going for you, or both personally and professionally?
Well, I think personally, that's the beauty of being in a very strong relationship, is that you get that support to be able to come in and focus on your craft, focus on being the best version of you. That's why I wanted to be at the concert, supporting her and being there for her, making sure she feels comfortable and supported in everything she's doing in life. And I think I'm as focused as I've ever been on my job and being the best player that I could possibly be week in, week out for this team. And, it's because I don't have to worry about things off the field.
Brady was winning Super Bowls. He had a supermodel for a wife that wanted him to retire. Is Miss Swift, is she encouraging you to continue to play or to retire? Because it is a violent sport. And she don't want you hurt.
She's fully encouraging me to enjoy playing this game, and she loves coming to Arrowhead and coming to the games and cheering for me. So.
Yeah, by the way, who wouldn't love that? You get ushered in, you get the wives and girlfriends section, WAGs they call it. You get all this great party food. Every game's a Super Bowl. Who wouldn't love it? Now, of course, he's right. I mean, it takes a toll on your body. And of course, Tom Brady ended up sacrificing his relationship for the game. She wanted him to retire. He said one more round. He ended up sucking that season, which again, he has more Super Bowl rings than, any other person ever. And damn right, he's the best. But either way, yeah, I've had the talk with my wife where she's like, because my wife knows how big my high school football journey was into who I am as far as hardworking, adversity, and able to handle challenges. I've learned a lot, and I can point a lot of what I learned through the field. And my wife's been said well, do you really want our baby to be a football player? And I'm like, no, not necessarily. I don't know. You have to weigh what's worse, the possible injuries to the body and now in defense, I don't think some of these major injuries come until you're playing in the big leagues. I mean, these are giant, violent professional athletes. I say violent, it's a violent sport, physically violent on the field, doing damage to each other. CTE is a real thing, but it looks different at different positions. If you're a cornerback, you might be leveling crazy hits versus, quite honestly, if you're a tight end and, yes, you're getting hit, but they've done a lot of work to take head shots out of it where you can't go head to head. Quarterbacks probably have less CTE because even though they're taking sacks, it's like hitting somebody who's not moving doesn't hurt as much as two people running into each other at full speed, right? All right, so again, I'm no concussion specialist, but there it is, the question of, does she want you to retire? Hey, look, 1 or 2 more years, and I'm sure he is going to retire because he's already proven everything he needs to prove. He's already won it all. What else could you actually want? All right, let's get out of that story. I've got an interesting story here I found on TikTok before TikTok goes away from a Diary of a CEO clip, and it's why AirPods are destroying you. I'm going to partially agree and partially disagree with what they have to say, but let's play the clip first.
AirPods are killing friendship. AirPods are going to ruin our interpersonal interactions. Here's the difference I've seen, the biggest difference in the last 18 years. 18 years ago, you could maybe wear a Walkman around campus or around the city or on a subway, but really your ears were open. And so what would happen is you'd get on the subway or you'd walk across campus or you'd walk down the hallway and someone would be like, hey, Steven, how's it going? Pretty good, crazy week. Oh, really? What you working on? It was so much easier to have those tiny micro moments of connection. Our friendships don't often happen in these big, deep conversations. They happen in these micro moments. AirPods destroy it. And I see this especially with younger folks because they always have their AirPods in when they're commuting, when they're walking, when they're jogging, when they're at the gym. I'm worried about this because we need weak ties. These very casual connections of someone you see at the gym once a week and you kind of know them. Oh yeah, Steven, nice to see you. You recognize their face that if you were to see them at a restaurant later in the week, you'd be like, hey, don't you go to that gym? Oh yeah, we do. So what are you doing this weekend?
I understand. I really understand what she's saying here. Now, every piece of technology is up to us to decide how we use it and try not to abuse it. I personally use my AirPods usually with only one ear in, mainly because I want to be able to hear my son or my wife and I want to be present. And if you have two, they're so good at noise canceling that you almost don't want to be out running publicly in the streets with it. You want to be able to hear environment around you. So it's not safe to have, you're not allowed to wear your headphones while you drive or ride a bike. I mean, people do, but you're not, I think it's illegal in most places because you lose one of those senses. So she's not wrong about that. It's up to everyone to remember to be able to unplug and have those small conversations. I know when I go to Starbucks every day, I work from home, so I don't get to have much social interaction. So when I do get out, I'm saying hi to the baristas. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Hey, nice to see you. I'm doing all that. And, sometimes when people are commuting, they don't want to do that. So I think it's a tool to have because by all means, before earpods, right? Before all that, you used to have to read the newspaper on the train. You would do anything to avoid people when you're commuting, but don't avoid friends and don't avoid that small moment in life. I think what she actually brings up is a good point. Live for those small moments. Live for those casual relationships. Those are the little things that bond all of us. Be there to be a smile for somebody else. You never know how infectious your energy can be to others. Good points altogether. All right, I got a couple stories, some updates on the wildfires coming next. All right, we've got Bill Maher weighing in on the city of Los Angeles rebuilding. He says if they're going to cut through the red tape for the fires, why don't they just cut through it altogether? It's not a bad point. He does make a ridiculously boneheaded point. We'll get to that too. Have a watch.
I'm with the people who want to hold politicians accountable.
Sure.
We shouldn't talk about it now. It's so funny to hear that coming out of the mouths of liberals, because they hate it when conservatives say that after a gun tragedy, which is what conservatives always say after a mass shooting. This is not the time to politicize it, and then it never is.
So this is the dumbest comment ever, because after a school shooting or a shooting, it's over. It usually ends in most cases quickly. It's a massacre. It starts in the morning and it's over an hour or two later. That's in most cases. And then you can discuss how ridiculous this is, and you can use your emotions to want to enact change. With the wildfires, they're still fighting the wildfires. Bill Maher, come on, you're not a dumb guy. You're acting like an absolute moron. They're saying now's not the time to politicize it because we still have cadaver dogs walking around trying to find charred bones. I hate to be so visual here, but it's absolutely ridiculous. People are still escaping. There are still homes being caught on fire. The winds change directions. The fire's like 16% contained. It's popping up all over. So to say now's not the time, damn right it's not the time. At these press conferences where the city officials are trying their best to mobilize the fire department and do all these things, it's not the time to audit, and you can begin doing it if it doesn't affect first responders. But now is the time to make sure the first responders and anybody that can help get these fires put out are mobilized. Then you audit it and try to find out what you could have done better. So I completely reject the comparison there between that and a tragedy that is a beginning, middle, and end, and then you can discuss it. So that's just kind of a bonehead thought. Here's actually Danny Trejo. He's responding to Kim Kardashian, Kim Kardashian was trying to stop the exploitation of felons who are being used to fight the wildfires and being paid $1 an hour. Here's what Danny Trejo has to say.
Now, as far as inmates getting paid, pros, cons, whatever, it's like right now, Kim, worry about the people that lost everything. You still got everything, okay? So worry about all the people that are walking around with absolutely nothing but the clothes on their back.
Listen, I think it's a false comparison here. Kim Kardashian's not the governor. She's a private citizen. So for her to call out the slave-like conditions, and it is slave-like, of the people that are felons that get a chance to work for $1 an hour and put their lives on the line, all because they're in jail and this helps them get out sooner, that's a little messed up. I think that's a little messed up. And we do have more incarcerated people in our country than I think any other first world country. It's wild out there. And when you're incarcerated, you've been stripped away of your rights. Some people, because they've done something wrong, and in most cases they've done something wrong. But in some cases, it's people that can't afford bail, so they just stay in jail. Or jail's better than being homeless because they don't have the social infrastructure to get on their feet. I mean, no, I think she's allowed to voice how messed up it is and use her platform in that way, while also voicing how messed up it is, with the wildfires. Now, of course, the Kardashians have been under fire for other reasons because, they use all the, they have private firefighters and use way more water than they should to water their compounds. I get it. All right, let's go to a different story. This is bizarre from Wide World of Sports. Danielle Collins delivered the most wild interview we've seen, they said. This is at the Australian Open. So here she is. She blows kisses to the crowd and smacks her butt. I don't really know what provoked this, but they booed her. Have a listen.
Deal on match point, a hammered backhand.
And it does sound like a heel in wrestling terms. It sounds like somebody you would hate.
And she's giving it to the crowd too at Key Arena. Just here at Melbourne Park, Danielle Collins.
They hate her.
I was thinking during the match, I was like, if I'm out here, I might as well just take that big fat paycheck. And Coco and I we love a good 5-star vacation. So part of that check is going to go towards that. So thank you guys. Thanks for
They just boo her. And it's like, look, tennis is kind of like golf, where there are these unwritten rules about respect on the field and on the court and whatever. And it's like, oh, shut up. So anyway, I love that she's playing the villain here. In her press conference later on, she doubles down. She goes, you know what? Haters pay the bills. And you know what? She's got a point. Now, at the same time, I don't like a-holes for the sake of a-holes. I don't know what provoked this. I'm sure we'll get more of the story. Or maybe she's just a real Karen in the making. No offense to my Karen audience out there. Don't be a Karen. But here's what she had to say in the press conference.
One of the greatest things about being a professional athlete is the people that don't like you and the people that hate you, they actually pay your bills. It's kind of a cool concept. Me and my group of girlfriends, we love a 5-star vacation, so I can guarantee you that check is going to go towards our next 5-star trip, hopefully to the Bahamas. We like boats, we like big boats, we like yachts, so we'll post about it and let you guys know how it goes.
Yeah. All right, I hate her. I just officially, she needs to be friends with that Hooters DUI girl who's like,
I mean, all I have to say is like, good luck, like pissing somebody off or getting under the skin of somebody that literally doesn't give a, can I say it?
All right. So anyway, she's not representing the U.S. very well over there. And look, okay, my general thoughts. Yeah, be whatever you want to be. You know what I mean? But in her case, yes, your haters pay your bills, but you're playing tennis. Winning tennis pays the bills. So she might lose sponsors over this, But again, I don't know what started it. Were they booing her for a reason unknown to me? We'll get down to it. We'll get more information. All right, well, we have a busy week. I mean, this is a busy 2025 is delivering in the most chaotic way ever. So we'll have more stories for you in the morning, and then we'll have our live stream covering the Justin Baldoni insane $0.4 billion, almost $500 million lawsuit. Actually, over $500 million when you factor in the other ones. So insane in the membrane, insane in the brain. So I got all those stories and more coming tomorrow. Stick around for that. Hit the subscribe button, follow wherever you are, and share us with your friends. We'll be back then. I'm Dave Neal. This is The Rush.